All right, we are live. It is Sunday night. It is the Sunday before Thanksgiving. And if you are here live, go ahead and drop a comment in the chat. And if you are here on the replay, thank you so much for being here. Go ahead and leave a comment. And we are talking about all things holiday stress related. So as we come into the holidays, Thanksgiving becomes the kickoff to all of our holiday stressors, the places that people have to go, the people that people have to see, and it really starts to take a toll on us. So this is going to be a conversation about setting boundaries and protecting yourself. So protecting your habits around food, your boundaries and habits around food, and also protecting your habits and boundaries around people. And I know a lot of people look at the holidays, and I'm going to say the holidays because this is going to apply even as we get past Thanksgiving here in the United States, is we end up having party after party. I know for me personally, once December hits, every single weekend I have some kind of event or party to go to. And so we'll talk about how do you do that when there's all the things going on. I can tend to get a little bit of FOMO where I want to be a part of all of it. So how do you do that? And then of course, when there's so many things going on, but then you feel like you're overwhelmed and you're doing too much. So that's important as well, to make sure you're placing boundaries around your time, so that, and you're going to have to make choices. You're going to have to make choices about the things that mean the most to you to attend. You're going to miss fun stuff, and that's okay too. You're going to miss fun stuff because you've had to choose something that wasn't as fun out of obligation. That's just part of life. And so this is really just about what do we do? What do we do? How do we manage? How do we handle this stress? How do we handle being around people that we don't want to be around? A lot of people, my patients, are coming in, starting last week or over the last couple of weeks, and there's a lot of different things going on. There's running from multiple families, running around to multiple families because they have kids, and then there's the in-laws, and then there's the parents, and so people are running all day. There's no real time to rest and relax or even enjoy the company of the people that you're going to spend time with. So we end up with the stress of time on our hands, the stress of commitment, of obligations. We end up with the stress of people. There are people, my patients are telling me, oh my gosh, I have to see my so-and-so, aunt, uncle, brother, sister. There may be some strife in the family. I have, a patient who his girlfriend, they have a friend of the family's staying with the girlfriend, and this woman's causing all kinds of chaos in the family. So there are a lot of different scenarios. And then of course we look at our obligation, or not our obligations, but our choices around food, because this also becomes the season of sugar. It's sugar season. It's cakes, cookies, pies. It's, just an adulteration of anything and everything that you could potentially have built for yourself health-wise over this past year. So, and that's of course why we have Reset Monday, to remind you that it's time to reset each and every weekend, so that when we get to the holidays, we are able to manage our choices better. So I want to know, leave me a comment. What are your biggest challenges when it comes to the holidays? Is it time? Is it, running around from one place to the next? Is it people? Is it food? Is it the kids? Where are your biggest stress points? And that's really a great place where, to start the conversation is, what are the top stress points? So I think as we go into this week, with Thanksgiving. And I was thinking about this with my patients. One, again, that one of the top things I'm sort of, I guess, prioritizing what people are talking to me about. So I wanted to bring this to you and prioritize for you what, and this is not, there's no scientific evidence of this being the priority or these are the top reasons, but it's just what I hear in my office. So I would assume that if I'm hearing this in my office on a daily basis, that you're probably experiencing this too. So the first thing that people get challenged with is time and splitting their time between or among families. So, moving, we have to go to the in-laws and then the sisters and then the brothers and then this family and that family. And I know some people who end up going to 4 different places on Thanksgiving Day and even Christmas, but we'll get to there. But so on Thanksgiving Day, people are running their butts off. And then if you have kids, that's an even bigger stressor. So when we're moving around like that, and we don't really have an opportunity to just sit and enjoy and appreciate, because of course, Thanksgiving is all about giving thanks and gratitude. And it's so that's when you have to tap into your gratitude. You have to tap into that because you have to think, wow, it's amazing that there are so many people that love me or us, if you have a family, that I have to go visit all of these different families. Isn't it amazing that I have this much family that I get to go visit? I get to go see these people. And so it becomes a mental reframe. And yes, it's going to be stressful. So even in those times of stress, that's where you have to tap into your mental reframe to be able to make sure that you're protecting yourself, protecting your mental health, turning something that is potentially very stressful and could be seen as a negative into a positive. For years when my brother had a family, I'm trying to even think if it was before he even had kids. I don't really remember, but we have always done breakfast together as a family for Christmas. And then he had kids. And so, I'm trying to remember where we even had breakfast before he had kids. So we'll just put that aside. So he had kids. And then, then we would all go to his house for breakfast, for Christmas breakfast. And then we would come home and we would just spend the rest of the day, it'd be me and my mom mostly. And then that was when my dad was alive too. So it was me, my mom, and my dad, and we would come to my house and we would just hang out, or we'd go to their house. But it would be the 3 of us for the afternoon. It was very peaceful. And then my brother and his wife and the kids, they would go off to her family's house. So that's how we had done that forever. And then his kids got older, and then I had my daughter. And so when she was about, I think it might have been on her 3rd birthday, I said, you guys got to come to my house. We got to move breakfast to my house, because his kids were now adults. And it was like, well, she needs to be here for Santa. This is, it's the tradition needs to evolve and shift and adapt. So then we had breakfast here for many, many years. And then he built a house, and his house is now big enough that now his in-laws now come to his house for the afternoon for Christmas. So now what we've been doing is we've been going to his house for breakfast, coming home, and then going back to his house in the afternoon to hang out with his in-laws and have more Christmas celebration. So then his son has kids now, and now it's shifting again. So now it's breakfast for them with his son at the son's house, and then they would come back to their house, and then we would go over and we'd have breakfast, and then we would leave, and then my sister-in-law would set up the house for her family to come over, and then we'd go back in the afternoon. It was sheer chaos. So it's going to look a little different this year. It's really interesting because we have to make some changes and we have to make some adaptations. Hey, Happy Mac, how are you? Nice to see you. And and it's going to feel really awkward and a little uncomfortable, but yeah, we're actually not going to do Christmas breakfast this year for the first time in like my whole life. Really. Really, my whole life. Like we have to do, so we're talking about maybe doing Christmas Eve breakfast or Christmas Eve afternoon or something. And I'm like, oh gosh, it's going to be so crazy. And my daughter's so upset because my daughter loves that tradition. But it's, we have to evolve. Hey, Laura, how are you? Nice to see you. So yeah, so things shift and things change, and sometimes things don't feel good, but we have to just go into it with just an open heart, and that, wow, how cool is it? Our family's growing, and that, we get to spend these opportunities with people. Time and moving from house to house, that becomes a big issue. And I'm not a big like run around to a bunch of houses kind of a person either. So now our Christmas is going to look like, and my mom and dad are passed. So it'll just be me and my daughter on Christmas morning. Gets me a little choked up. And she and I'll have breakfast, and, we just have to come up with a new tradition, and we'll spend the day together, and then we'll go to my brother's for the afternoon. So I don't know, what do your holidays look like there? And I really do try to put a stop on the going from this place to that place. And my nephew's wife, she's got her parents who are both remarried, and then of course my nephew has all of us. So can you imagine if she gave into going around, like that's three houses for her, three different families to go to. And they have two little kids. So no one really wants to do that. So you really have to set those strong boundaries, and then people around you will adapt for you. So that's the time issue. That's the boundaries around your time and your day, and really just picking and choosing what's going to be the best option for everybody, and making sure that you're still offering gratitude for the ability. Wow, it's like, oh my gosh, this is actually, I mean, it's a good thing in the grand scheme of things that times are changing and people have families, and we just have to move and adapt, embrace each other where we can. So that's the first thing, is our boundaries around our time, and figuring out where it lands for you, and what works for you, what works for your family, the other members of your family. The other big thing that people talk about, in probably the second, it's either tied for one or two, but it's the food. But I'm going to save the food for last, because that is always a very chewy, no pun intended, subject. So we'll talk about food in our last part of this. But the next thing is people. So a lot of people are coming in, and they're frustrated, and they're like, oh my God, and I have to see my uncle so-and-so. And, and like I said, this other patient of mine, his girlfriend's the family friend who's causing disruption. So it's it's thought about that. And oftentimes you're having to put yourself into a situation where you have to be in these situations with people. You've got to go and sit and, I guess, pretend that you like them, or pretend that you're happy to be there. And the way I thought of this is that there's been a lot of different situations in my life where I have had to be around people that I just really don't have a great vibe for. But what I do, and this is something that I really want to encourage all of you to do, is there's this saying, and it goes, be interested, not interesting. So what that means is that you are there to be as interested as possible in whoever. And hey, this could be like, whenever I go to a family reunion, I still have cousins that I don't get to spend a lot of time with. And I will go and sit with them and I will ask questions and learn more about them. I mean, listen, my whole life, this we don't often get a chance to spend a lot of time with second and third cousins and even first cousins or even other relatives. So I like to just go and be interested, ask questions. Now this is going to go for people that you may see a lot, but maybe oh gosh, like my niece, she started a business. And so I really want to learn more about her business. So I'm going to be really taking a deep dive with her and learning more about what she's doing and how she's doing. And, if she needs anything, I'm here for her too. Um, so Happy Max says, here, we'll put this, says, I don't know at what point I adopted the attitude that I'd rather have a rabid baboon eat my face off than do one more family holiday gathering. I'm truly trying to be better. That's pretty funny. Well, and for real, this is the reason that we're having this conversation, is that because people are like, it's annoying. I don't want to be around people. I don't feel like peopling. I don't feel like adulting. I don't want to talk to anybody. We get into these moods and these mindsets. So that's where, if you have to go, it's really, you're better served. Try to learn something about someone. Really, like, just sit next to somebody that maybe you haven't always had the best relationship with. Maybe you don't really know them that well. Maybe you find them purely annoying for whatever reason. And as much as I hate this particular, I don't know if it's a mindset or a saying, but when you see somebody and you find something annoying in them, it's a trait in you that you don't like. But we tend to just stuff that down and not pay attention to it. So find somebody that you can be interested in. Start asking them questions. Strike up a conversation. And there's a lot of political strife going on. There's people on both sides of the aisle who are saying that they are canceling the holidays because their relatives voted for the person that they didn't vote for. Again, that's here in the US. And it's like, okay, we have to just put that aside because we have way more things in common than that. And that is really what's going to help us to get through this. So Laura says, I hate when they try to get to know me. I feel like they're just being nosy. Okay, so this is where you get to be nosy back. You get to be the one asking the questions. And so this makes it where being a good conversationalist, how well are you able to volley the conversation back to that person? And if they ask you a question and you're not comfortable talking about it, you can always answer it on surface area and then volley it back to something like, well, have you ever experienced blah 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 or whatever, and make something up. I don't know. Or if they like dogs, and again, I'm just thinking of different ways you could really get to know someone. I've been in many conversations over the years where I thought I was in a really boring conversation, and the person turned out to be absolutely brilliant, somebody that I really learned a lot from. I enjoyed talking to them. And it does change your mindset. So you have to go in. I mean, think about this. So Laura hates when people try to get to know him. Well, they're probably thinking the same thing. Oh my God, I hate this. Like, it's not that it's not that everybody else is showing up there, on a unicorn, throwing rose petals around. There's a lot of people there who probably have the same mindset. So if you take the same mindset of, I'm going to be open, I'm going to get to know people, I'm going to learn more about them, then you would be surprised that there's a lot of magic in conversations that can happen. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that. So people want to talk about politics. I think though, I feel like this year with our election here in the United States that it was such a um, it wasn't a divisive election by any means. However, the people on either side, there was a lot of division there. And I think in the past, there could have been, and I'm just pure speculation here. I think that that could have been a thing where politics would have been brought up at a family dinner, but but I feel like this feels very different to me. I don't know that. Listen, if somebody's going to bring up politics at a family dinner, again, for whatever side they're on, I feel like that's just you just need to just got to shut it down. And I also think it's okay to say to people, you know what, that this is not the time or the place. And you'll probably get some hate thrown at you at that point, but it isn't the time or the place. Politics doesn't belong in a family dinner. That belongs with all of your friends who are aligned with your beliefs that you can sit with, you can laugh about, and you can all, share your values about whatever your political leanings are. That doesn't belong at a family dinner. Especially when, like, you've got kids present, or grandmas and grandpas, and of course they're probably the most crotchety ones too, though. So did I say that out loud? uh so I would, Happy Mac, I would literally, um if they start to bring up politics, I would just say, now is not the time. Can we just talk about what an incredible spring, fall we've had? I don't know. Pick something else. Let's talk about how good these mashed potatoes are. Yeah. Hey, Howie, how are you? Let's see. Earth Day, April 22nd, is the day for me to celebrate. Food from the food forest floor and what's left over from the last growing season will be on my plate. Avoid pessimistic earthlings, 100%. And of course, that's what the conversation is. When you can't avoid them, when you have obligations that require you to be around people that maybe they have different beliefs than you do. Maybe they're just annoying and you don't know why. They talk a lot, they don't shut up. But if you can get them, people who like to talk a lot, if you can get them to talk about something like really brilliant, you might learn something. So you just never know. And sometimes it's good to tap into that. And if they're just somebody who speaks in circles, then you just excuse yourself. Because also, here's what I know about people who talk a lot. And I want to know if you guys experience this too. People who talk a lot don't have any clue when you're like, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and you just get up and walk away from them, right? Like, they're just yammering away, and you get up in the middle of a sentence, just go, I'll be right back. And you just, whoop. They have no idea, you guys. And they don't even get offended because they're constantly talking, and they just have no idea that they're constantly talking. So I give you permission to get up and walk away from people that just won't shut up. There you go. I've given you permission. I'm going to write you all a prescription. So, yeah. And that's one way to avoid pessimistic earthlings, as Howie says, is that if we can take those situations and making an attempt, because I also know that in the course of my life, mostly when I was younger, where I've met somebody, I didn't really vibe with them very well, wasn't real crazy about them, and then somehow ended up in a conversation with them that I was like, this person's actually really cool. What's my problem? And again, sometimes there's things within yourself that you will see in other people and that make you not like them. So you do have to really look in the mirror when you're really like, oh God, I hate this person. The question is why? Yeah, So Happy Max says, my father and latest stepmother, that's all they listen to. Can't even go for a ride in the car without the radio blasting political. We do share some of the same beliefs, but and that's the thing too. There's varying degrees of that for sure. where even if you have the same political leanings, some people just want to be swimming in it all day. My mom was like that. My mom she'd have the radio on in the kitchen, the TV on in the living room, another TV on in the bedroom, so that wherever she went, there was some kind of political news show. And again, I would certainly be inclined to just say, and I mean, again, it might cause some strife, but what the heck? If you go, and I'm assuming, let's just assume you're going to go to their house and they've got some news channel on. I would just say, oh my gosh, well, yawn caught me by surprise. I would just say, hey, can we turn on some Christmas music, or can we put on a Christmas movie, or something like that. Can we just put on something happy? You know, and then I think they'll be fine. They'll probably be fine. Yes, mashed potatoes. Stuffing is my jam, though. Yeah. Thank you so much, Howie. I appreciate it. Um, and Laura says it sounds like my son, politics all day, every day. Yeah, it does. It does get to be annoying, and it really messes with people's mental health and well-being, where your mindset, all this stuff coming through the television, not this channel, but all the stuff coming through the television is very negative. It's very low vibration, and what that means is that there's a vibrational scale, and the top of the scale is like love and joy and hope and optimism. Those are at the very, very top. And at the bottom of the scale are things like, anger and hatred and guilt. And when you're listening to politics all day, I don't care if it aligns with your beliefs, it is still very negative. There's still a lot of hatred that comes through that. And that, again, that will affect your mental and emotional well-being. So yeah, turn off the TV, turn off the radio. Howie says some earthlings get butthurt and just say anything about nothing. So I love everyone, but I don't like what earthlings do. All comes down to mental health. Best to say nothing. Yes, for sure. I agree with you on that. I feel I'm going to add to that, though. It's best to say nothing until you have to say something. Again, sometimes you can turn away, turn the other cheek, ignore people, not, not give in. There are some times when we can do that. And I think it's a great practice most of the time. And then every once in a while, you have somebody that just wants to keep poking and poking and poking. And so you have to figure out a very strategic way to shut them down. That is, you can still be kind, but you've got to shut them down. Because again, if this is somebody in your orbit, whether it's somebody in your family, maybe it's somebody you have to work with, you have to be able to manage that person and their rhetoric, their mindset, whatever it is, and however it's affecting you. So yeah, so I would say it's best to say nothing until you have to say something. So, a lot of us are very patient, and patience is, I mean, it's so critical to our mental health, because we don't want to react to things, because most of the time if we react, we'll overreact. So being able to manage our own emotions and our own feelings. So if somebody's just continually coming at you with something, that's where breath work comes in, very valuable. Nice deep breath, calm your brain, calm your nervous system. That will allow you that if you need to respond, not react, if you need to respond, you can do so in a very eloquent manner. So breath work is that will be your friend through the holidays. So Happy Max says definitely negative. I need some Hermie the Elf Dentist vibe from Rudolph. Hermie. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. It is Christmas show season. I am so excited. What's your favorite Christmas show? Quick sidebar. What is your favorite Christmas show? Drop that in the comments. If you're here live, drop it in the chat. I gotta go with Elf. I gotta go with Elf. You know, and of course, I mean the classics with Rudolph and You Were Without a Santa Claus. What are some of those other old school ones? Love those. So good. So good. But yeah, Elf always gets me. Elf, and then what's the oh my gosh, Coming to America is good too, but that's not, I don't think that's a Christmas one. What's the other one with Eddie Murphy that I can't remember? Trading Places. Oh yeah, just stuff that makes you laugh, right? Put something on that makes you laugh. And to me, it doesn't matter that I've seen something 100 times. If it makes me laugh, it makes me laugh. In fact, before I went live, Uncle Buck was on. Okay, who doesn't love Uncle Buck? Oh my God, John Candy, so funny and such a great movie. So yeah, just put something on that makes you smile and makes you laugh. And I don't care if you've seen it before. Howie says, avoid some more by saying, where's the washroom? I've done that too. Yeah. I left something on the stove. My mom is coming over and she made cookies. Of course, mom died 50 years ago. That's so great. Mom's on her way. It may take her a while to get here. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The washroom. Yes. I've done that a lot where I've had to be like, tap out. You know, one of the things too, if you have to go out of town is never stay with anyone. Never. Like always get a hotel room. Always. Because that becomes your space. That's your safe space. You can escape. You can leave whenever you want. You can go and have your quiet time. You can do whatever you want to do in your hotel room. So I always recommend that too. So yeah, there's a lot. We could go on about the people and the avoidance, but like I say, if you have to be in those situations, breathe and just try to tap in, find something about them that might be of interest to you. Yes. Elf is great. Scrooge and Albert Finney, the musical. Haven't seen the musical. But of course, I mean, Scrooge is like, that's such a classic as well. Happy Mac likes your comment. Mom's coming over. I love that. Oh my gosh, this is great. Okay, so, all right, so let's move to food. You guys ready to move to food? We can move to food now. So we've done time. So setting your boundaries around time, setting your boundaries around people, setting your boundaries around food. Now, one of my top strategies for the holidays is to make sure that when you go somewhere, you always, if they ask you to bring a dish to pass, great. If not, offer and bring something that you know is good for you to eat. Because how many of you have shown up at a party, an event, a gathering, and somebody else, they either catered it or they did all the cooking and there is no edible food. I mean, oh my gosh, absolutely crazy. I remember going to, it was Easter. It was an Easter dinner. And I was with my ex-boyfriend and his aunt had made, I don't even know. I don't know what kind of meat it was in the crock pot. And she opened up, first of all, the house stunk. Like, I don't even know what the smell was. Was it ham? Or it might have been ham in the crock pot. And she opened up 2 cans of pineapple and dumped it into the crock pot. And then she took barbecue sauce and dumped that into the crock pot. And and then And I don't even remember what the sides were because the sides were completely inedible as well. And I remember she had plated the food for everybody, and I sat down, and the smell was like, it was just all vinegary, and it was just like, hot. When vinegar's hot, it's really pungent. Came up and kind of punched me in the face, and I was like, "What? Like, we're gonna have to go to dinner." I couldn't even take a bite because the smell was so awful. I should have eaten. That was about probably 15 years ago. I should have eaten first. Yeah. Howie says, smile a lot, spread the love. That helps by sharing the food that is healthy. Yes, a lot of garbage food is given to earthlings to eat. So bring something that for sure. Yep, bring something that is healthy, that's going to nourish. Nourishment is very. There's a lot of good vibes that take place around nourishment, right? People are like, oh, wow, you just feel good because you ate something that was healthy. So Happy Max has been there, inedible food when I was hungry. Oh, Happy was, oh my God. I know. It was so crazy. Um, so bringing your own food. And then if you don't, so I am traveling for the holidays or for Thanksgiving. Um, my daughter's going to be here. She's going to do a Friendsgiving, and then I'm traveling for a couple of days. So however, I do know I'm going to my sister's, and the food there will always be like spot on. However, if I were going anywhere, and I've done travel videos on this as well, where the first thing I do when I land, if flying, if I'm driving, I pack my stuff in the car. If I am flying, I get a cooler. I go to the store. I find myself a Whole Foods or, like a good grocery store, and I go buy fresh fruits and vegetables. I might buy like some nitrate-free lunch meat or some kind of like a good protein source so that I have something healthy with me at all times. And so that's another thing too. Like if you're traveling by car, make sure you're packing healthy snacks. And if you're traveling by plane, then when you get there, just try to find a store. Um, when you are traveling, regardless of traveling by car, by plane, just going local, whatever it is, we can tend to do the whole, I'm not going to eat because I want to stuff myself. That is not a healthy way to take care of yourself. When when you get up in the morning, and my tradition on Thanksgiving morning is I usually get up and I do a workout. I have a spinning bike here. So I'll usually do my spin. I'll spin on the bike for an hour while I watch the Thanksgiving Day parade. My sister has a Peloton, so I'm kind of excited about that. So I'll be able to stick with my tradition. It's about the only day of the year that I ride my indoor bike, unless there's like a snowstorm or something. But anyway, so I usually do some kind of exercise. So I encourage you, like, go for a walk, do some kind of movement on Thanksgiving morning, and then have a high protein, high fat breakfast. So eat the yolks, 2 or 3 eggs, maybe, and I have sourdough bread, and I have homemade yogurt, and I put that and I strain it. It's really thick. So I put that on my bread, a little drizzle of olive oil on top. It's like a traditional Lebanese breakfast is a toast it's called lebni when you strain out the yogurt and you make it spreadable and you put some drizzle of olive oil. That alone, so the fat, the additional healthy fat, and then the high protein, that actually will help you to not be so ravenous. You can go several hours like that. And then when you get to your place, your destination, then you can make better choices. You're not there just going straight for the cookies because you're so hungry. Because your brain does really interesting things. Your brain will force you to, it'll force cravings upon you because it just wants calories. If it's hungry, it's going to force you to just eat calories. And so that's where it might launch you to the dessert table. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to just break the bank when we get, when we get there. So high protein, good healthy fat breakfast in the morning. Do some kind of movement because again, Thanksgiving is typically the day when we just sit around all day and just eat and drink. So movement. I'm hoping that the weather will be okay, that I can maybe go out for a walk in the afternoon, but I'll definitely get some exercise in first thing in the morning. So your food is going to be, you have to protect yourself with that. Now, if you are somebody who likes to indulge, so I love bread dressing. Love, love it. And and so usually my Thanksgiving dinner is bread dressing, turkey, and some cranberry sauce. But it has to be fresh cranberry sauce. And that's it. Like I don't care about anything else. I'll have some vegetables, things like that. But that's it. So that's my indulgence for the day. So I'm in the process of making sure that this week I'm shoring up my diet. I'm making sure, I mean, I eat healthy anyway, but it's just paying even more attention to what are you eating. I'm sticking with high protein, low carbohydrates. That's what feels best for me. And then when I go, I feel like I've protected my body. Now I can have a little bit of indulgence, and then when I come home, I get back at it. I just go right back to my healthy way of life. So this, Thanksgiving doesn't have to be. You don't have to not indulge. But the problem that we have is we are constantly overindulging. I saw a video, YouTube video the other day about somebody talking about, and it was actually a friend of mine who did a health video. And I don't remember what the topic was, but somebody had commented saying that you should be able to have an Oreo once in a while, an Oreo cookie once in a while. So, and then she went on there to kind of defend the statement and say, yeah, I mean, that's fine. And once in a while and blah, blah, blah. Here's kind of how I feel about that. If Oreo cookie is the thing that you're picking to have once in a while, you're not having it once in a while. You're having it more often. Uh, no one needs an Oreo cookie ever. And they're disgusting. And I don't want to sit and preach and be on a high horse, but Oreo cookies used to be made. They were always not really great, but they used to be made with ingredients that at least were not synthetic. And now today's Oreo, compared to like when I was a kid 50 years ago, it's not the same Oreo cookie. And so it's even more damaging to your health. So if you're going to say, well, I should be able to do that once in a while, that's great. But are you really putting a focus on what you do all the time so that you know that when you get to that once in a while choice, that it truly is once in a while? I hope that makes sense, that because a lot of times people make excuses for themselves so that they don't have to, give up certain foods. I haven't had an Oreo in, I don't know, 30 years. I'm like, I would, like, you couldn't pay me to eat an Oreo cookie. Like, ew. But a homemade chocolate chip cookie that I made here in my kitchen, or that like my sister-in-law makes really good homemade brownies and cookies. I might take a couple of bites of that. That could be worthy. But you're not getting me to eat anything that was manufactured in some corporate kitchen with some like garbage ingredients. So Howie says, try to feel and understand if you're hungry or you are craving. Find a small stone near the ocean, put it in your mouth, and you won't get hungry of crave. Now you'll be able to smell water. Oh, that's interesting. What if we aren't near the ocean? I will tell you, I have stones all over my house that I have picked up from all over, probably mostly the U.S. They're in jars, they're in containers, they're in vases. So I have stones everywhere. And it's interesting. My daughter was putting together a little, I want to say a terrarium. She got a bunch of succulents and she put them into a glass, bowl. And I came home and I saw one of my, I had gotten all of these flat stones, the ones you stack, up at Lake Superior, up in the Upper Peninsula in Michigan several years ago. And so I put and they're round. Yep, they're round, Howie. So the round flat ones, and they fit perfectly in this glass jar. And so that was just sitting in the living room, right? It's just energy. I know, Howie, I know you can relate to that. Like, you put these stones around, like, it's energy. And I came home and there were two stones in the bottom of the jar. And I go, where are my stones? And she's like, I used them to make my terrarium. Like, what's the big deal? And I'm like, okay, like, they're my stones. What? Anywho, so yeah, I get it. Stones are magical. Howie says he made a blueberry cake this week. That sounds amazing. And I'm going to guess the blueberries came from the food forest. Yeah. I went out to my garden today. My kale, gorgeous. Oh my gosh. So I made roasted kale for dinner, but then I made kale chips and I make them with, I make it's like hummus, but I use cashews, raw sunflower seeds, red bell pepper, garlic, salt, smoked paprika, and chipotle, so spicy paprika. And it makes a paste. It's like hummus. And then I massage it all through the leaves, the kale leaves, and they are in my dehydrator right now. So they become these wonderful, crunchy snacks. And they have it. Oh, and nutritional yeast, because nutritional yeast gives it that cheesy flavor. So, so yes. So blueberries, blueberry cake. I've been wanting to do, because I have a lot of berries from my garden, and I want to make sourdough blueberry cupcakes because I've got the sourdough discard. So you've just re-inspired me to do that. I think maybe next week I'll do that. Yeah, she used my stones, Howie. Yep. Oh, Laura's making zucchini bread. Okay, Laura, we're all coming over. Blueberries from Peru. They're called Patriot blueberries, now the world's largest. So did you order them, or you grow the plants? Are they plants that you got? Yeah. Yes. Crunchy kale with sea salt. Add the nutritional yeast and they taste like they're like cheesy with a Z. So yummy. Yeah. So yeah. And I made, what else did I do? I made homemade yogurt today. I think that was, yeah, I did my kale chips, made homemade yogurt. Made chicken livers. I do chicken livers a couple times a month. Super nutritious. So I did that with some wild mushrooms and onions and then the roasted kale. Super filling. You don't need a whole lot, but yeah, just really, and of course, always organic if you're doing liver. So yeah, there's so boy, we got off on food. Like, you just kind of went like on the food issue. So anyway, so going back to the food, just setting your boundaries around that, and take snacks with you. So I'll be taking snacks on the plane. I can't take my kale chips because they'll crumble, but I have like grass-fed, nitrate-free beef sticks that I'll take with me. I'll take nuts with me, seeds. I do usually go to the Delta Sky Club, and they usually have a pretty healthy breakfast, and then I'll get my coffee from there too. But I don't want to risk, in case, because we're traveling on Wednesday, so it's going to be kind of a crazy day to travel. So don't want to risk getting there without enough time. I pay for them as it's best you can get. And yes, I've grown them, but not here at my food forest. I will forage for berries a lot wherever I can. So Peru, so blueberries from Peru, I'm assuming they're dried blueberries then, right? It sounds lovely. Dried blueberries. I was at Trader Joe's last week. Trader Joe's is one of the only places that I've been able to find that has unsweetened raisins. So no sugar. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this. A lot of raisins, they add sugar. Tell me that a grape isn't sweet enough. You don't need sugar in your grape. And then a lot of raisins also have like some preservatives in them too. So the answer is no. We don't do that. I'm gonna look this up, Howie. Peruvian blueberries. Peruvian blueberries. Oh, got it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, thanks for that update. Always looking for something good and yummy like that. Um, and then of course, let's talk about the desserts because people want to be overly indulgent with the desserts. You don't need all that sugar. I If a pumpkin pie is homemade, so somebody actually made it from, like some kind of a hard squash, I'll take 1 or 2 bites, but there's not much in the way of dessert that I would have. I'm a kind of a sucker for a good chocolate pie, but I always test things too. Don't just so here's a big mistake people typically make is okay, so the desserts are there and you're like, oh, there's pumpkin pie or there's like pecan pie or there's this or that. And so you take a whole plate, a slice of each thing, and you eat all of it. And then you're like, it was okay. Well, okay. And I've never ever seen anyone slowly and intentionally eat dessert. It's usually like, oh my God, like you're just inhaling it ravenously. And this is the kiss of death. So, so okay, have the dessert, but take a very thin slice, take one bite, savor it in your mouth, and decide, is this really worth it? That one tiny little bite should be enough to let you know what, I really shouldn't spend my calories on this. This becomes a currency issue. It's a caloric currency. How do you want to spend your caloric currency? And too many people just go straight, eat it because it's Thanksgiving and I have to have pumpkin pie on Thanksgiving, regardless if it's crappy and came from a can or whatever. So don't do that to yourselves. Just don't. Be kinder to yourselves. You don't need all of that. And, oftentimes too, if something's really indulgent, like, I mean, I love pecan pie, but one bite for me is it, I'll chew it, I savor it. That's it. The problem is when we eat too quickly, we don't allow our taste buds, we don't allow our palate to take in those flavors. And then your brain isn't getting the signal that you've got this thing going on in your mouth, this dance of whatever flavors that you want. So you swallow it super fast, then you take another bite, then you take another bite, and then before you know it, it's done. And then you're like, oh, why did I do that? It feels sick. You can't do that. You have to take a bite, savor it, let it hit your upper palate. This is where all of the, you're hitting those dopamine receptors, right? The feel good hormones. You're creating that satisfaction within your brain when you eat slowly and intentionally. And when you do that, you won't eat as much. And you can even do this with your main course as well. Just slow down. That's all. Just slow down. Cherries and blueberries from Peru is fantastic. Patriot blueberries and Bing cherries are fantastic from Peru. Very clean, no toxins like other places with no love. Yeah. Also, which I noticed, so I used to buy dehydrated Bing cherries from Trader Joe's. That was the only place that I could find that had them without added sugar and without any, I think it's like silicon dioxide, maybe whatever preservative they put in there. I can't find them. I cannot find them now. So that's good to know that and I'm assuming no Bing cherries from Peru, no added sugar. Bing cherries from Peru. And when you get those Bing cherries that are just juicy Bing cherries for sale. When you get dried Bing cherries without sugar, oh my gosh, talk about a flavor dance. You don't need all the garbage in there. So make sure you just because you see a raisin doesn't mean it doesn't have crap in it. You got to read that label. So, hey Rick, how are you? Make your own dried Bing cherries. You know, I don't know how to pit them. I'd rather buy them. Um, can't we and we can't really I mean we get them in the store. Who knows where they come from? It's hard to find organic cherries in the store here. So yeah. Um, okay, so let's review. So we're going to put boundaries around our time. There may be some things that you can't attend. Um, if there's multiple things going on in one day, don't make yourself crazy. You're going to disappoint somebody. They'll get over it, right? So, and then just make another plan with them. Something, extra, maybe it's the next day. Maybe it's something extra special the next day, but you can't be all places. You can't be at all places at one time, and you can't be all things to all people. And people should not expect that from you. Dehydrated watermelon. Oh, dehydrated water. I was like, dehydrated water? What? Like, how do you dehydrate water, Howie? Dehydrated watermelon. When your watermelon has no taste, you dehydrate it. What? Do you know how many watermelons I threw away this year because they were just awful? I'm so doing that next year. That's awesome. Love that. Fantastic. Okay, and then with your food, make sure you show up with something that you will want to eat. Make sure you eat slowly, with intention, and you don't need to eat everything on the table. Just remember how awful you will feel the next day if you don't be mindful and take care of yourself today. Yeah, rehydrate. I know. It's like, what? I want to know how he dehydrates water. Or rehydrate. Oh no. Yeah, even funnier, Laura. Sorry. Yeah, how do you rehydrate water? Right. Threw us all for a little loop on that one, Howie. So, Happy Mac wants to know how the weather is. Okay, you guys. So that's it. So as we go into this week, again, be mindful. Don't say yes to everything. It's okay to say no to some things. Keep this in mind. The people who want the most from you, and when it's multiple people who have these high expectations of you, you'll disappoint them, and that's okay. But to me, it's just that much more disrespectful that if you need to be at 4 houses in a day, that all those people expect you to actually show up. I'd be like, no. These are like the people who go to Hawaii and they have to do, 10 island. I don't even know how many islands Hawaii has, but they're going somewhere every 2 days. Why do you want to go to Hawaii, most beautiful place on earth, and live out of your suitcase? Like, I want to just open my suitcase and I just want to enjoy. So, and this is kind of the same thing, is don't allow yourself to be running around stressing yourself out even more than you need to be. So thanks a lot for being here, Howie. And always appreciate you being here. It's okay to say no, thank you. My tummy is upset. Yes, it's a good one. Yes. Oh yeah, I can't eat that. I'm gluten-free. That's a good one too. Thanks for being here, Happy Mac. And thank you, Rick. Appreciate you all so much. And again, just make sure that you are liking and subscribing. And we're going into the new year strong. So have a very happy Thanksgiving if you're here in the US, and have a great week if you're not. All right, you guys, enjoy your evening. Talk to you soon. Love you all so much.